Welcome back to Arsenal Updates, the channel that lives and breathes every moment of this club's journey. If you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the community that's been following Arsenal all the way to Budapest. Like this video, drop a comment, and share it with every gunner you know. Because today, we are talking about the biggest game this club has faced in over 2 decades. Saturday, May 30th. Puskás Arena, Budapest, Hungary. Arsenal versus Paris Saint-Germain. The UEFA Champions League final. Say that out loud. Let it sink in. Arsenal. Champions League. Final. This is not a fairy tale. This is not a lucky run. This is the product of 4 years of meticulous construction under Mikel Arteta, a man who arrived at the Emirates when the club was fractured, inconsistent and directionless, and slowly, methodically, built something that Europe now fears. And the proof is in the numbers. 14 Champions League games this season, just 6 goals conceded, 9 clean sheets, 1 short of the all-time record in the competition. Arsenal have been the only side to go through this entire campaign without a single defeat. They are not here by accident, but their opponents on Saturday are Paris Saint-Germain, defending champions, title holders, a side that has scored 44 goals in this competition, 1 short of the record set by the legendary Barcelona team of 1999 to 2000. Luis Enrique's men are relentless, ruthless, and hungry for history. This is going to be a final for the ages. Let's start with the man at the centre of everything for Arsenal, Mikel Arteta. In the days before the final, Arteta sat in front of the cameras and spoke with the controlled intensity of a man who has been planning for this moment for years. When asked what it would take to win on May 30th, his answer was precise. We need to be brave, we need to be ourselves. We need to trust the process, trust the players, and express ourselves without fear. That word, brave, is not accidental. Arteta uses it deliberately. He has spoken throughout this season about the mental identity of this squad. Not just their tactical shape, but their psychological makeup. He believes this team is ready. Not just talented enough, ready. There is a difference. He also addressed the pressure question head on. With the Premier League title already secured, ending Arsenal's 22-year wait for the domestic crown, some suggested the pressure was off. Arteta pushed back firmly. The Premier League was incredible. The fans deserved it. This club deserved it. But we haven't finished. We have one more thing to do. One more thing to do. That is not the language of a manager who is satisfied. That is the language of a man on a mission. Now let us be honest about what Arsenal are up against. PSG are not just the defending champions. They are arguably the most dangerous attacking unit in world football right now. Consider what they have done on their way to this final. Chelsea, dismantled 8-2 on aggregate. Liverpool, beaten 4-0. AS Monaco taken to the wire in a 5-4 thriller. Bayern Munich eliminated 6-5 in a pulsating 2-legged semi-final that had all of Europe watching. Ousmane Dembélé has been their talisman, a player reborn under Luis Enrique, combining pace, directness, and a clinical edge that makes him genuinely world-class on his day. Around him, Désiré Doué has emerged as one of the most exciting young players in Europe. And then there is Ivica Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian winger who has been the standout performer in the entire knockout phase, racking up 10 goal contributions across the rounds. 10 in a knockout phase. That is the kind of form that wins finals. And Arsenal's defence, as good as it has been all season, will be tested like never before. But here is where the story gets interesting, because Arsenal's defence is not just good, it is historically good. William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, David Raya. This backline has been one of the best in European football this entire season. 9 clean sheets on the way to the final. Only 2 goals conceded in the entire knockout phase. These are not just numbers. They represent a collective defensive intelligence that Arteta has instilled from the very top of the press to the last line. And those who watched Arsenal in last season's semi-final against PSG, the one that ended in defeat, will remember something that got lost in the result. Arsenal generated 4.54 expected goals across both legs. PSG generated 2.9. Arsenal, with injury problems across the pitch, were the better team by the metrics, They just did not get the result. Arteta referenced that directly in his press conference. Last year hurt. We know what we are capable of. We showed it even when we were not at full strength. This time we come here fully prepared. Fully prepared. Those words matter because they hint at something important. That Arsenal have studied PSG, have a plan, and believe they can execute it. Let us talk about the injury picture, because it is one of the defining storylines going into Saturday. Arsenal are without Ben White, their first choice right back, ruled out with a knee injury. That is a significant blow. Jurriën Timber, who was expected to fill in, is himself a doubt with a muscle concern. Arteta has used Christian Mosquera and Martin Zubimendi in that role as stopgap options, but neither offers the attacking quality or the one-on-one defensive solidity of the first-choice options. This matters enormously because of who they will be facing on that side. Ivica Kvaratskhelia operates predominantly on PSG's left, which means Arsenal's right-back, whoever it ends up being, will be tasked with one of the most difficult defensive assignments in world football on the biggest stage possible. Arteta was asked about the right-back situation directly, and his answer was characteristically composed. "We have players who are ready. Every player we have is capable. I trust the squad completely." Trust, preparation, bravery. These are the three pillars Arteta has returned to again and again in the build-up. And knowing his record, the way he has consistently got the best out of players in high-pressure situations, you would be foolish to dismiss that trust as mere managerial spin. PSG, meanwhile, have injury concerns of their own, and they are significant. Achraf Hakimi, arguably the most dynamic right-back in world football, has been sidelined since suffering a thigh injury in the first leg of the semi-final against Bayern Munich. Reports from France indicate he did not feature in PSG's in-house friendly ahead of the final. He is not expected back in training until Wednesday, just 3 days before kickoff and 2 days before the squad departs for Budapest. Even if Hakimi passes a fitness test and is declared available, there is a serious question about whether he can be anywhere near his best after 4 weeks without proper match action. And make no mistake, Hakimi at 70% is a very different proposition to Hakimi at 100%. Last season, in the final against Internazionale, Hakimi opened the scoring. His surging runs down the right flank were central to PSG's attacking play throughout the knockout phase. His potential absence, or his diminished state if he does play, is the kind of detail that Arteta and his staff will have been working with for weeks. Warren Zaire-Emery filled in admirably during the Bayern second leg, but even PSG supporters acknowledge he does not replicate the searing forward runs Hakimi offers. And then there is Dembélé, listed as a doubt with muscle fatigue. Reports suggest he is confident of being fit, but he was replaced in the first half of PSG's last league match against Paris FC, which raised eyebrows. All eyes will be on PSG's training sessions this week. Two of their most important players. Both doubts. Both questions Luis Enrique cannot fully answer until the day itself. Now let us talk about where Arsenal can genuinely hurt PSG, because this is not a one-sided contest. Far from it. Set pieces. Arsenal's set-piece delivery under Arteta has been one of the most dangerous weapons in the Premier League this season. Declan Rice, an absolute colossus in every phase of this campaign, and Bukayo Saka delivering into a physically imposing backline, gives Arsenal a route to goal that PSG, who are not the biggest team, may struggle to cope with. Victor Gyökeres signed this season to solve exactly the transition efficiency problem that cost Arsenal in last year's semi-final, gives them a direct outlet, a physical presence, and a finisher who has been excellent at club level. Whether he finds his best form on the night remains to be seen, but his presence fundamentally changes how opponents must set up against Arsenal. And there is the mental dimension. Having already won the Premier League, Arsenal come into this game without the desperate, almost crushing weight of expectation that has followed them for years. They are considered underdogs. The pressure is on PSG. And as anyone who has watched sport long enough will tell you, the favourite carries a bird and the underdog does not. Arteta knows this. We have nothing to fear. We have everything to gain. And we are going to give everything, every single one of us, for 90 minutes, or however long it takes. However long it takes. That is important too. Arsenal's squad, disciplined, fit, and tactically sharp, are built for the grind. If this goes deep into extra time or even penalties, Arteta's preparation and his squad's physical conditioning will be a serious factor. Let us zoom out and appreciate the historical weight of Saturday evening. If PSG win, they become only the second team in the history of the rebranded Champions League to defend the title, joining Real Madrid, a club who have turned this competition into their personal property over the decades. Luis Enrique would also enter an elite group of managers with multiple Champions League titles, potentially on his way to 3, alongside legendary names like Paisley, Zidane and Guardiola. If Arsenal win, they achieve something this club has never achieved in its entire history, a European Cup. And not just that, they would complete the domestic and European double, joining Liverpool, Manchester United and Manchester City as the only English clubs to achieve that feat, the 4th, and the most recent, and arguably the most dramatic, given the journey Arteta and this squad have been on. 22 years without a league title, then the Premier League, then the Champions League final. All in the same season. The story writes itself. There is a version of this final where PSG's attacking brilliance is simply too much, where Kvaratskhelia terrorises Arsenal's makeshift right side, where Dembélé runs at Saliba and finds the gaps, where the defending champions show exactly why they are favourites and why Luis Enrique's project deserves to be called a dynasty. That version is real. It is possible. It cannot be dismissed. But there is another version, one where Arsenal's defensive organisation holds firm, where Arteta's game plan, built on compactness, set-piece danger, and the ability to absorb pressure before hitting in transition, finds its moment, where the weight of occasion falls heavier on PSG's shoulders than Arsenal's, where Bukayo Saka produces something extraordinary, where the history books are rewritten. That version is equally real. That is why we play the game. Saturday, May 30th, Puskás Arena, Budapest, Arsenal Football Club, in a Champions League final, fully deserving to be there, capable of winning, and managed by a man who has prepared every detail, trusted every player, and believed, from the very first day he walked back through the doors of the Emirates, that this moment was possible. Arteta said it best in his final pre-match words before the squad flew to Hungary. This is our moment. We've worked for it. We've earned it. Now we go and take it. Go and take it. That is Arsenal's mentality going into Saturday. Not hoping, not wishing, going and taking it. Whatever happens on that pitch, Arsenal have already made history this season, but Mikel Arteta and this squad are not in Budapest to make up the numbers. They are there to win. And if they do, it will be the greatest night in this club's history. Come on, Arsenal. That is it for today's video on Arsenal updates. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and let me know in the comments. Do you think Arsenal can do it on Saturday? Are you backing the Gunners, or do you think PSG's firepower is just too much? Drop your score prediction below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with your fellow Arsenal fans, and we will see you on the other side of the biggest night of this generation. Until then, keep the faith. Budapest awaits.